Sunday coming back from the injury. Was he on a little bit of a pitch count in that game?
No, he was just getting used to playing through, coming back from an injury. What happens a lot of times is guys in the NFL haven't really been injured, so you got to learn how to do that. We had some guys do well with that a year ago, and now they're even better at it. Sione, Mack, everybody's got to learn how to do that. So he got better as the game went on.
Kind of boost will be to have him back, like in more of a cooler capacity here in a couple weeks as he kind of eases back into it.
Well, I think he's gotten better every day this week in practice. We actually just spoke about that on the way off the field, and that's been good. And his mindset's good. We'll see what he does.
Anthony Walker said he was evaluating himself after the game. He said, he might have missed some gaps and maybe went the wrong route on a screen. What, when you're in practice and you're heading into this Lions game, what did you do to prepare for that and correct those mistakes? How was that addressed?
Well, yeah, that's one thing we do all the time is in this league and in this business, you got to take care of yourself first. It's about us, and we stay with that. And Anthony's a great example. He's really hard on himself the right way. He makes corrections. And so, like one screen, he got there so fast, he read it so fast, he just went outside a little quicker than he should have stayed inside. So things like that, that's the first thing we talk about is we got to fix our mistakes first because we know that everybody's looking at that, and it's the coaching phrase for it is we call it a copycat league because they only know what's on our video. So we have to fix some of those. So some of the things we worked on this week, of course, our screens, reverses, things like that, where they're trying to get the ball in certain players' hands fast. So he's made those corrections. He's been pretty good all week and pretty deliberate. So I'm excited about that.
JOK was playing, I think he was up to almost every snap right before the ankle injury for you. Like, do you think it'll take a while to kind of ramp him back to where he is, kind of the every down guy for you?
Well, we talked a little bit about the injury process, and yeah, everything's a process. So getting back your feel there is something to that. The more reps you've acquired in your career, the quicker that can happen sometimes. He's been better and better with his feel throughout this week of practice, so we'll see where he goes. But we need everybody. We play all our linebackers in certain situations and use them for what they can do for the best of their ability. So we'll keep that going.
And I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, we were talking about the Lions tight end, and I asked him how much he'd covered tight ends, and he said only a handful of times throughout the year. That was something you guys think he can do. You just have been using him in other roles.
Well, there's certain formations where our linebackers will be on who's ever aligned at, say, number 2 in the formation. So it could be number 1 and number 2, and we don't even care who's there. So what Jeremiah means is it may not be a call where you have the tight end, but there's a lot of times we've been on them all year. Certain examples, Jeremiah's been on just number 2 in the formation a bunch of times, covered him some of the early games, Minnesota and some others. Malcolm Smith did a good job in Chicago on a wide receiver on number 2. So those are just 2 off the top of my head, but some specific examples of, there's times where we train everybody to be able to cover people. We got to know where our leverage is, where our help is, regardless of whether we're linebacker, safety, whatever. So specific times where you got him, not as much, although I'm not going to give away what's coming. So.
How have you seen Joe Woods handle this week? Obviously, coming off that game, everything kind of swirling around. How have you seen him handle?
Joe, I've said this before, but Joe is, to quote Stuart Scott, he's cooler than the other side of the pillow. Joe is the same guy every day, and he doesn't change, and that's what we love about him. This is my second time being able to work with Coach Woods, and we just fix stuff and move on. So he really is what he says, and that's credit to him, and that's what we love about him.
How do you guys find the consistency on, not just with your linebackers, but just collectively as a defensive unit? How do you guys find that balance and that consistency that just hasn't been there?
Well, it's a little bit what we talked about the process. The process has to stay the same. I think our week of practice was good this week. And when we've had good weeks of practice, it's translated. Now, obviously, we're going to go play for 60 minutes or however long it takes and whatever's falling down out of the sky, and we like that. We love that. So how do you find it? It's just continuing to do the same things and then being able to stay in the moment. One of the things we've used with the guys is, remember Phil Jackson with his famous whistle. And we show things like you have to be able to get your mindset wherever it is, say short yardage or the red zone or third downs. And the more you do that together, the more you get consistent. So is it perfect yet? No. It comes from practice, and then it comes from the ability to stay in the moment. Hey, let's go. It's third down. Who cares? It's our job to get off the field.
I know you guys, linebackers are involved every week, but when you see the Lions, the number of times they drove to the tight ends and the backs and how they ran it last week. Does it feel like a game where your guys, maybe all three of them are going to be involved? I mean, the base package kind of thing.
Yeah, and they did some things last week, of course, on a road game like where they run the ball a lot and threw the ball to those players a lot. So that's one thing that they do. So it takes all 11, but definitely there's some things that we need to know where those guys are, and we need to understand where our help is. So whether that's run game or pass coverage, because that's some of their emphasis is getting those specific players the ball, the tight end, all their backs, and they use their backs differently. And so, yeah, that's definitely in the game plan, and hopefully we're all around the ball a lot.